Hey, what's going on, Supercar fans? I'm back after, I think it was 4 weeks or something. It was a very, very long trip away, but I am back doing the CrownBet Darwin Triple Crown. I was struggling for the last 5 minutes just to try and figure out what that said, and finally I nailed it. But I have my iPad here. I did have it up next to my phone last time, but it'd just be a lot easier if I had it in my hand. So, couple of announcements before we start. Today was, and a big happy birthday to James Moffat. Turned 33 today, sorry. No, 34. I don't know, I can't remember. He's in car 34 and he was in car 33. And I was thinking maybe him and Garth could have, swapped cars for the day so he could be in the age that he was in. But, I think it's the other way around. I think he's 34 and he was, I don't know. I'm not too sure. God, this video is off to a great start already. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But we'll get into the big announcement. I have a brand new intro video for this channel, and you guys are going to see it in just a little sec. It didn't take me. It took me a while to find out how to properly introduce you guys to these videos now, and I finally have come up with one of the best ideas that I've ever had. So it's only a short 15-second video, and it doesn't look like much effort actually went into it, but you guys might have a really cool feeling about these videos now and sort of live up to the hype. So I'm going to let that roll right now. Guys, enjoy. So guys, there it is. I hope you've enjoyed it. That is going to be at the start of every intro video now, or every recap video now, which is going to be awesome for me. So, and with all the support that I've been getting lately from you guys, I couldn't be thankful any enough. So, I'm more than happy to keep recapping you guys. If you guys obviously aren't accessible to actually watch it live, or just on TV or normally or whatever, I'm more than happy to keep you guys updated. But let's hit it off with race 11. Before that, I don't really talk too much about qualifying, but big congratulations to Nissan Motorsport and Rick Kelly for getting pole position for race 11. It was so unexpected, but it was also very good to see Rick and also Nissan Motorsport up there again. Let's just hope that they keep this constant beat up on things, and yeah, big congratulations to the team. But it was a great start by everybody. Rick, obviously, like I just said, started in pole and led, a few laps and whatever else. Reynolds also had a very good run in the first couple of laps as well. He bumped his way up to second position. Winterbottom and Wood had a spin at I think it was turn 6. Pretty sure. Nothing major, just a little bit of a bump there, but ended up turning poor little Dale Wood around, and yeah, unfortunately that happens, I guess. That was lap 1, and all this happened within like the first couple of laps. Courtney span Todd Kelly, and Caruso got hit as well out of the turn 14 exit onto the main straight, and it was very it was consistent racing and it was clean racing, but those first few laps there was a lot of bump and runs and there was just chaos everywhere, and a couple of people went wide, there was a couple of spins, but nothing too major in that fact. But Scotty also went wide at turn 1. I think he was racing Rick at the time as well, so, and that put him out of contention for the victory, unfortunately, which was good because he was showing a lot of good pace. He showed a hell of a lot of good pace actually in practice and the qualies as well. So Macca Jones, God, this was one of the big things I seen all week. He was battling with Scott Pye and James Courtney, and they came out of turn 14 and Macca sort of went wide. If you don't know who Macca is, it is Macaulay Jones. But he went wide. Scott Pye kind of went past, and Macca came back onto the racing line and hit Courtney's. I actually had in my note that he hit Scott Pye's rear wheel, but it was actually Courtney's instead, so apologies for that. But yeah, he hit that and ended up rotating the car in the main straight, which is very, very... Like, before they showed the replay, I was like, who the hell spins the car at the main straight, 100 or so meters away from the corner? So it was kind of weird to see that, but drivers started pitting at lap 6 just to get some strategy happening, and that's all it was this weekend. It was all about strategy, which was really, really, really good. I quite enjoyed the little strategy game that everyone was playing, especially in today's race, in race 12. We've seen a lot of guys pitting at lap 1, but I'll get to that in a second, guys. Rick Kelly came in as well. He was the leader, obviously, for a couple of laps, like I said, and rejoined behind Coulthard. And Coulthard was in contention for position with him as well. So that was kind of a little good battle when Rick came out and ended up fighting with Coulthard for a little bit there. Mostert and Reynolds had a little bit of a battle for second. That was actually quite entertaining. It went on for a few laps until Mostert obviously pitted, and then Reynolds pitted a couple of laps later. But that battle kind of set the mood for Reynolds this weekend as well. He had a really, really, really good weekend. Like, very, very good weekend. He was in the top 10 for pretty much all the practices, and managed to get in the top 10 for all the qualifyings as well. And big congratulations to Erebus Motorsport for that as well. Getting that car to where it is now. Like, you wouldn't have thought 3 years ago, when they were still with Mercedes, that Erebus would be where they are now. And, Dale Wood is there, don't get me wrong. He's not very competitive enough with Reynolds, but one car's enough, and the way that Reynolds has been performing this year is absolutely awesome. So big congratulations to Erebus Motorsport. A big one as well, a big talking point was Shane Van Gisbergen's rear tyre failure. He did it just before turn 6, so it was actually turn 5, sorry. What happened? He just locked the wheel and then just went straight off. And it was a big talking point in the race. And I think a lap or so after that, Rick Kelly was still in the lead. And unfortunately for Rick, after that awesome performance in qualifying, had a jam throttle and ended up putting it in the wall at turn 12. And that brought the safety car out, which was the first time that we've seen the safety car all weekend. There was no safety car in race 12 either, so it was very, very sad to see Rick go from such a high in qualifying and then just see what happened in the race was just dreadful for him and the team as well. But it's racing, I guess, and that stuff happens. But safety car came out and went back in at lap 23. Mostert and Whincup were battling really well. I can't really recall that battle very well because it was yesterday and I've only just written stuff down in my notes, obviously. But from what I can remember, it was a very, very good battle. They were back and forth all the time. They were swapping paint. It was just fantastic. It was an awesome battle between them and him, between Mostert and Whincup. LeBrock spun Simona Di Silvestro up at turn 6, and I don't think a penalty or anything was given to James for that. I'm not too sure. There might have been a time penalty after it. I don't know. But it was pretty all simple there. But that was pretty that was pretty much all that happened in race 11. And obviously you had Coulthard winning it ahead of his teammate Scotty Mack. And another big congratulations to Brad Jones Racing for getting Nick Percat on the podium as well in 3rd place. I was kind of a little bit skeptical about that because, we've all seen the year that Nick has had so far, and it has not been a really, really good one. And to be able to turn that around and get that podium was just awesome for him and the team. So big congratulations to them. But I'm just going to go through the race results. Something I haven't done yet, but this is what I'll do. Now, mind you, I'm just going to look at my iPad while I do this, so don't expect I'm going to be engaging in the camera here, but we had Coulthard in first, obviously, McLaughlin in second, Percat, then Whincup came fourth, Mostert in fifth. Now that was his best result of the weekend. Sadly enough, he had a really crappy race 12, but we'll get to that in a minute. Cam Waters finished 6th, Lowndes in 7th, Reynolds in 8th after his really good performance during the race, Moffat in 9th, Lee Holsworth getting 10th place. Big congratulations to Preston Hire. Yeah. Tim Slade gets 11th, Tim Blanchard also in 12th. That was a very good one as well. Will Davison in 13th. Now Mark Winterbottom, he's been on and off this whole year. He's been up and then he's been down, he's been up and he's down, but he finished 14th. Now, I don't know where he's gonna sort of pick up from here. He's miles out of championship contention right now, which is sad because he looks strong in Phillip Island, and now he just, yeah, I don't know what to say about him anymore. But Jason Bright finished 15th, Caruso finished 16th after that massive turnaround in Winton with that little incident with who was it, Macaulay Jones as well. Cam McConville came back from retirement. Now, hopefully Cam understands that when you retire, you're actually retired, and not do like a John Farnham and say that you're retired and then do tour after tour after tour after tour. So it was good to see Cam back in the car, obviously, but and he performed well. He did. For Lucas Dunbar Motorsport, he performed really well. Unfortunately, it just wasn't as good as what he used to drive as well. Obviously, he's much older now. Sorry, Cam, for saying that, but, you know, Todd Kelly finished 18th. James LeBrock finished 19th as well. So we had James and Macaulay doing another wildcard entries. Now, with that, I'm saying, I have a question for that. Are they using their Dunlop Series 2 cars, or are they actually using proper V8 supercars that they race in the main game? I just want to know if they're using their Dunlop cars or not, but I'm pretty sure that they are, but I just want to get that clarified. If anyone could comment down on if that's true or not, I'd love to know. Simona Di Silvestro finished 20th. Alex Rouleau, after a not so good weekend, also copping that $10,000 fine as well for in qualifying today, coming out in front of Lowndes, and I will get to that in just no, it was Tanner, sorry, and I will get that in just a minute. James Courtney finished 22nd, ironic, car 22 finishes in 22nd position. Scott Pye finished 23rd, Macaulay Jones finished 24th, Dale Wood finished 25th, Garth Tander finished 26th. Now that was a big shock for me, because after Tander's performance yesterday in practice and whatever else, he really didn't deserve that. And then obviously our DNFs, well, not DNFs, but kind of didn't finish. Shane Van Gisbergen, obviously, he had that front suspension problem as well when he hit, what's his name, Moffat, Tander, that's the one. They had an accident coming out of turn 6 as well, and sadly enough put both of them out of contention. And then obviously Rick Kelly, who had that crash at turn 12. So guys, that is race 12. Stick around for race that was race 11. My bad. Stick around for race 12 in just a second. Alright guys, so race 12 had not so many highlights. Sadly enough, it didn't. It was, don't get me wrong, it was great racing and all, but there was just nothing major that was like, oh, that was awesome or anything. But, you know, we'll get to that in a sec. Now, like I said before, I don't really talk too much about qualifying and whatever else, but Rouleau did catch a $10,000 fine for coming out of the pits. And sorry to say this, it wasn't Lowndes, it was actually Garth Tander that did this. Garth was coming up for his quick lap, or flying lap, is what they say. And Rouleau came out of the pits with a bunch of other people, but Rouleau just sort of just went, nah, fuck it, and went onto the track and started weaving his tyres, and that left Garth in a really awkward position, and just totally, it was like, that could have been a hell of a lot worse than what it was. And Rouleau actually sort of drifted over a little bit more, and Garth had to go right around, and it was a really scary moment, because at 260 k's an hour, that could have ended a hell of a lot worse than what it did. But unfortunately for him, you have to cop it on the chin, babe. But race 12, guys, We had a great getaway by everybody. Unfortunately, there was only one person that didn't have a great getaway, and that was Garth Tander at turn one. He just went a little bit wide at the exit. Wasn't too bad. He just rejoined, and away he went. Davison and Winterbottom pitted first after the very first lap. Now, this was the strategy game that I was talking about before. It was a really, really interesting weekend, like I said a second ago. The strategy game was unbelievable, and obviously Davison and Winterbottom pitting first. It didn't put him out in contention just yet, but it gave him that little bit of a clean way as well as that. And then obviously a couple of laps later you see more drivers coming in, and it was just crazy after that. But lap 13, Waters came in pit and speared right out in front of Lowndes. Now, I just said that Rouleau did the same thing to Garth Tander, and Waters did the exact same thing to Lowndes. Now, we don't know if anything will happen to Waters, I'm not too sure, but if Rouleau did it and didn't get away with it and has to cop a fine, then it has to be fair that Cam Waters obviously has to get it as well. He did the exact same thing. So there's no possible way that Cam Waters can get out of this, and I unfortunately have to say that. But, and sorry to all the Cam Waters fans out there, but if one person does it and the other person does it, then it's both. It has to happen both ways. So if Rouleau gets fined, so should Cam Waters. And a little bit heated about that because, you know, there's a few topics that I talk about that are a little heated, like especially with the Newcastle conspiracy and all that other shit going on with Newcastle 500 and all that. It does get a little bit heated when I talk about it. And plus, I don't like Cam Waters all that much. Don't hate. I can see the comment section below just going nuts right now. Mossert and Todd Kelly had a really, really interesting battle. It was going on for a couple of laps, and then Mossert got in front of Todd and sort of took off, and what's his name? Todd Kelly. Todd Kelly had to drift back a little bit, and then obviously the pit started as well. The critical lap for race 2, or race 12, race 2 of the weekend, was lap 25. Now, I had never ever seen the critical lap like emblem come up underneath the lap times in the race before. It was actually really, really interesting because it's quite interesting to know. Like, if you don't watch Larko's talk before the races, like where the critical laps are and like how much fuel they'll put in and tyres and blah 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 blah. It was actually very, very interesting to see when the critical lap was, and hats off to V8 Supercars for letting us know about that stuff as well. And speaking of V8 Supercars, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some stuff after I finish this recap as well. So just hold on for that because this will get interesting. Coulthard struggling for rear grip that whole race. He was just struggling big time. He was in. He had a 5-car train towards the end of the race there, and I don't know what the hell was going on. And he was battling with Scotty for a little bit as well, and they were battling down the main straight, and then Coulthard sort of eased back about 100 metres away from the 100-metre board and just sort of let Scotty go through and just said, here you go, take it, I don't care, I don't need it anymore. So with that as well, Winton was the exact same thing. Scotty did the exact same thing with Gizzy and Fabs as well. So I don't know, with the Shell Power boys, they have to find that grip soon because, you know, it's starting to get into the important times of the series. You know, Townsville's next in a couple of weeks, Ipswich is after that, then we go to Eastern Creek, I think Sandown's after that as well, and then we hit Bathurst. So we can only imagine what Bathurst is going to be like if Shell Power don't have any rear grip, because you need rear grip at Mount Panorama. So those boys have got to turn that around really, really quickly. Rouleau pushed Simona off at turn 6 there. There was no penalty or anything after that. It was just like a little tiny love tap. It was just like, hello. And as well as that, congratulations to Rouleau for getting his super license as well. Whoop-dee. It's not the first time I've heard that. Scotty was behind Wink up there for a bit, and radio transmission came over from what's his friggin' boss's name, engineer's name, Ludo. That's him, champion. Ludo just was like, come on mate, push it hard, and Scotty did all he could to push, but you know, it wasn't good enough at the time. But obviously with what happened in the end was also very interesting. Now, Holsworth, my man, I was keeping an eye on the times throughout that whole race, and Lee was lapping really, really, really well, especially the battle pack that he was in. I can't really recall who was in it, but the battle that he was in with certain people, he was lapping quicker than all those guys. And I think, yeah, Lowndes and him came in at the same lap, and the camera sort of had Lowndes in frame, and you could see like down the pit lane of where Holsworth was. You couldn't really actually see Holsworth, but you could see like most of the pit lane, but Holsworth was right down the bottom of the pit lane there, and because Holsworth obviously came in first, and then Lowndes sort of followed in behind him, but it was like a 5-second gap between the time when Lee stopped and when Lowndes went past. So they're focused on Lowndes for a little bit. They're focusing, and I'm thinking, where the fuck is Lee? You know, where the hell is he? He's supposed to be coming up the pit lane shortly. And then the camera zapped around to Preston Hire, and he had a wheel nut issue on the front right. Now, that put him out of the race, because he was going really, really... Oh, well, it didn't put him out of the race, but it put him out of contention. And sadly enough for Lee, after that really, really good top 10 shootout that he was in today, hats off to him, it was sad to see him drop all the way to 20th position after just one little pit stop mistake. Kind of reminds me of what Daniel Ricciardo went through a couple of years ago when at Monaco, when he was leading the race and they weren't ready. But obviously the boys were ready, but just that wheel nut issue was just annoying. And sadly enough, Lee had to rejoin in 20th. And yeah, it was sad. I got upset. But Rouleau went off the road at 11, and so did Tander a couple of laps later. Like I said before, there was really not that much issues or not that many highlights in this. Simona rotated Woods at turn 6. It was just like a little love tap again, just like Rouleau did to Simona the day before. Again, not really a penalty, not really worth it. Just continue racing, away we went. Moffat had a really, really big off at turn 5, just like how Gizzy did it the day before. Yeah, it was a very, very scary moment for Moffat. Sorry, his heart rate must have went through the frigging roof. But great save, and just saying great save. Mark Scaife is the funniest commentator I've ever heard. Now the reason why, when they showed the onboard replay of Moffat's save, I have never heard Mark Scaife get into like. I don't know, I'm trying to keep it as PG as possible, but he had like the biggest orgasm you could ever have. He was like, oh, what a save! It was like, Jesus Christ, mate, just settle down and just, you know, read what's on the telecom, but far out. Scapey was really, really into it, and I love that about commentators. They get really, really into it, and so did Crompo, but Crompo must have been sitting there going, the fuck is this going on? But, yeah, it was... But, dude, hats off to Moffat. He did save the car, and it was a very, very decent save. But, Scaife, just level it down a little bit for us, thanks. I know that you raced before, and you must have talked to yourself while you're in the car, but Jesus, mate, just calm it down just a little bit. With 7 laps to go, like I said before, Coulthard was struggling with rear grip. And with 7 laps left, he was holding up Tim Slade, Craig Lowndes, David Reynolds, and Scott Pye. And it was a very, very good battle pack. I will admit, it was a very, very interesting battle pack. It was really, really good. It wasn't as like battle-y as what I thought it would have been. There were a few bumps and grinds here and there, but it just wasn't, you know, consistent enough to make me be like, whoa, that was awesome. But to end it up there, Scotty Make wins it from Red Bull 2-3, with Jamie Whincup taking 2nd and Shane Van Gisbergen taking 3rd. Now, it was a very, very interesting race. You know, like I said, I was a little bit umming and ahhing about it because there was no safety car. I don't mind races without safety car, but when you look back at like last year's Bathurst, it took 96 laps for a safety car to come out, and you know it gets boring after a while. I'm not saying that the races are boring, but it's like you just see the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I get that, But when there's a safety car, it jumps everyone, like it puts everyone back in that battle pack again, and it's like, yeah, this is really 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 cool. But guys, that's pretty much it. I'm going to end this on a couple of things I want to talk about in a second, so I'm just going to get to those right in a minute. But in saying that, I hope you enjoyed the Darwin races this weekend, and I hope as much as these videos may or may not help you, I hope I gave you as much information as I possibly could. Stick around, I'm going to keep continuing on with this video, but guys, that is the Darwin Triple Crown, CrownBet, whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't know. But that is the recap for this weekend. I'm going to leave it there, and from here on, you're going to see a little bit of me ranting about a couple of more things. Not in another video, will obviously be part of this one. So guys, just a little added extra here today. I don't really do these, but if you guys like this little added extra video, I'd like to hear your feedback on it, because I'd love to talk about a little bit more than just the recaps as well. But one thing I do want to talk about, and I think it's on everybody's mind, is will I have to change the name of this channel next year? That's one of the topics, not the main one. But the reason why I say that is V8 Supercars have obviously changed their name to just Supercars. Now, great reason for that. V6 turbos are coming in next year. Now, we don't know how this is going to play out with a lot of V8 traditional fans, but will it change the concept of everything that we know as V8 Supercars? My personal opinion, it will. One being the sound of the cars. I love the sound of the cars. It's unbelievable. Like you've seen in the entrance video for this, it's something that I live for. The sound of the V8 and the backfires and just everything about the sound of the car is just unbelievable. And to be honest, I don't think we'll get that out of a V6 turbo. I think they were talking a couple of weeks ago of how the V6 turbo will sound, and sadly enough for me, it's just not good enough. It's not good enough, and you guys could probably agree. If you're massive V8 fans like what I am, and you're going to hear a V6 turbo go past, I don't like it at all. The way that the V6 turbo, they had a comparison to what the V8 sounds like now and what the V6 turbo will sound like now. They did the comparison with a Chevy Corvette car over in the GT series, like when they raced at Laguna Seca and all that. There was a V6 turbo there, so they just compared it to that. And to be a little bit fair, it sounds like the Volvos, like the V8 Volvo that raced last year, and obviously the other years as well. But there's just no excitement to that. Now, when V8 Supercars changed their name to just Supercars, you could tell that they were going in a different direction with just everything. Number one being the change of car. If you guys haven't seen the concept car for the V6 turbos, here it is right now. And don't get me wrong, that car actually looks really, really cool. And I'd love to hear that in a V8 supercar. If we do or not, I don't know. I know if my sources are correctly, 888 will be running the traditional V8 race engine. But with every other team, we have no idea yet. And I don't know if this will turn me off V8 supercars or just supercars in general. Like, it's not going to turn me off, but just the whole concept of the car, and it's just, why are you doing this, and just whatever else. I'm not looking forward to the change. I know, I understand that, you know, people are gonna, things are gonna change in the future and whatever else. Just like when they were talking about bringing in paddle shifts, like, how lazy do they want our drivers to be? Like, I remember the old H pattern, that was difficult enough, and they had a thing with Mark Scafon a couple of weeks ago about how he would fly down through Conrod Straight in 6th gear, go to 5th, and then go straight to 2nd. That was with a H pattern. Like, what? And it's the physical workout you get with a H pattern as well. And as much as the quick shift is, you know, as just as, not as hard as the H pattern, but it's just as difficult. And you know, it's all about movement in the car, and you got to play with the brake bias and this, that, and everything. And it keeps the drivers, it keeps them like occupied during the races, if you know what I mean. Where if they bring in paddle shifts, they'd just be sitting there, brake pedal, brake bias down, like, there's no excitement to that. I don't like that idea. And as well as that, I don't even know if it's going to make cars go faster as well. Will they need a clutch pedal? Because I do know that with a few GT type of cars, like what they raced in the Bathurst 12 Hour this year, and obviously Formula 1, they don't need clutches. So heel and toe will obviously go. See what I did there, Ryan? But heel and toe will obviously go if they don't need a clutch. It will obviously just be on the buttons on the steering wheel, which is just not entertaining at all. I don't like the idea that they're going to bring in paddle shifts. I kind of like the little thing that Gizzy does every now and again, where he's put his hands on the steering wheel and he sort of flickered the wrist to gear down with the quick shift. That's awesome to see, you know, and it's entertaining for the fans, you know, it's awesome to see. But if they're going to bring in paddle shifts, I don't know what the hell's going to go on there. But yeah, the big talking point was with the V6 turbos, and I'm not too sure if I like the idea that they're going to do this. Obviously, V8 or Supercars, I keep saying V8 Supercars, but obviously Supercars are so intent about bringing these in and making a change. I don't know if it's going to turn a lot of fans away. I know that it will up at Bathurst. I definitely know that for sure, because the only reason why people go up there is just to get drunk, camp, and listen to loud cars. Now, if that's the case, Dunlop Series is also racing up there as well. Are they going to run V6 turbos, or are they going to run the V8 race engine? We don't know. We have no idea. And to be fair, the only car that weekend, like at Bathurst, the only car that weekend that's going to be close to not even hearing it is the V8 supercar category. Every other category will be good. You know, you'll have your Dunlop Series, that will be good. You'll have V8 Utes, or the Super Utes, when they bring in the Tritons and the Colorados and the Rangers and whatever else. When they do that eventually, they're going to sound even better than the V8 supercars. Then you'll have the TCMs, the Tourers, the Carreras. Oh, no, not the Carreras. Oh, no. I can't stand the Carrera Cup. Please get rid of it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know if I like the idea. And you know, I've said it 10 times already, but the idea of bringing V6 turbos in after this awesome era of V8 supercar, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But you know, that's just my opinion. You guys can leave your comments on your opinions down there, and I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. This, to me, this is one of the most important topics that there is at the moment, is having a listen to what you guys are going to say about the V6 turbos next year. But I'm going to end it all there. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap beforehand, and obviously this little rant about the V6 turbos, and if I'm going to have to change the frigging name of this to Supercars with Shane, apart from just V8s with Shane. But in saying that, who knows? This might even get a whole new remake next year as well. We don't know yet. So everyone here at the V8 Supercars with Shane, V8s with Shane, which is just me. There's no one else here. I'm the only one doing it. I don't know if I'll have to rename everything or whatever. I don't know if I'll have to take a new approach to everything or whatever else. But, you know, time will tell, obviously. But guys, I'm going to end everything there. Hope you really, really enjoyed the recap. And I hope you enjoyed this round as well. I shall see you all at Townsville in 2 weeks when they go up there, obviously, and race. Duh. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Have a good weekend, guys. What's the rest of it anyway? And I shall see you all in 2 weeks.